Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. It's exciting. All right, so hi, my name is Justin. I'm with Helicone, and I'm going to be talking to you about building AI applications that actually work, in quotes, because, it's very buggy these days. If you guys want to connect with me, feel free. I just put like my link tree up there. Yeah. All right, so quick background. Hi, I'm Justin. I'm a software developer by trade. I left software developer like IC role to start a company called Helicone. Helicone is an open source observability tool for language models. So you've been hearing about LLMs all night, and you're going to keep hearing about them for a little bit longer. So quick intro to Helicone. Helicone is a really easy way for developers to get started logging with their LLM applications. It's just 2 lines of code, and then instantaneously you get amazing dashboards that kind of get populated with all your data. If you want to look at Helicone's metrics, you can go to helicone.ai open-stats. And so far we serve over 100 SaaS companies on our cloud product, 1,000 SaaS companies on our cloud product. We have over 10,000 SaaS users. Helicone right now is processing over 20,000 messages a minute. And we've logged over 1.7 billion LLM calls. That's roughly like 20 million people may or may not have used Helicone, or don't know about it, don't know that they've used Helicone. Doing Helicone and servicing so many other customers, we always see a ton of questions come up. Like, people ask us, what model should we pick? Should we use a RAG framework? What tools should we use? Or should we even use tools like LangChain, evals? Is any of this AI stuff real? And some of them just cut straight to the point and ask, can you please just tell me what LLM stack to use? So I feel like there's so many tools out there, and it reminds me a lot of this sort of code complexity curve that's very popular in software engineering, where you have super simple code that you kind of start out with, and then as you start learning more design patterns and like abstractions, it starts blowing up in complexity, and then after a while, it's just super simple. I think we're kind of in this like learning curve together as like a society using language models, where kind of just prompting is on the left side, you use a bunch of tooling in the middle, and then hopefully I think we'll get to this point where we're just all going to just be prompting the models. But right now we're not there. It doesn't work. So we can't just do prompting. It's a little bit too early. The context windows are too small. There's a bunch of quality issues. You want to do agent flows like we saw in the last talk. And occasionally you get responses like this, where I don't know if you guys seen this one, but it says, cheese won't stick to pizza. Just eat glue is what Google responded with. But yeah, so how do we actually fix this issue? The landscape right now is extremely complex. There's lots of choices developers and teams need to make. One, they need to pick like the model provider. They need to add some sort of prompting layer. They'll usually want to add a gateway to manage all their users and requests coming in, maybe an LLM load balancer, an agent framework, fine-tuning service, shout out to OpenPipe, wherever Kyle is, maybe a RAG framework, retrieval service, all the stuff, eval tools, even more. And then you end up like with a stack that looks like this. It's you get like a bunch of services almost. So I feel like we're a startup, and we are selling to a lot of startups, and they're always looking for this 90-10 solution. They are constantly being told, do things that don't scale, don't rewrite your backend. And I like to rephrase it as, rather than like do things that don't scale, do things that scale just enough. So keep iterating through your product and keep adding services just for whatever you need to do. You don't need to make it too complicated. So I'm actually going to be walking through in like a full coding example. We're going to be coding, and hopefully the demo gods are with us today. We're going to be making an email assistant, which is like hopefully to show you how complex these systems can get from just a small, small inception point. So how do we start from just querying the LLM to ending up with something like this? And we have 30 minutes to do it. So this is gonna be exciting. So in the basic case, we have a client that calls an LLM provider, and I have a fun demo for you guys. Give me 1 second here. Here, welcome to our new startup pivot. It's Helicone Emailer. I'm kidding, we're not actually pivoting. But it is a email summarizer. You're gonna have, let's imagine we have a bunch of emails and we want to write a summary for these emails. So here's a bunch of emails. You can click this summarize emails. We have no loading screen because I built this last night at like 11 p.m. And then once this runs, it's gonna go ahead and take all those emails and dump that summary. It's equivalent to just like copy and pasting it into ChatGPT and using that prompt. And let's go ahead and see what this code actually looks like. So if we look at the code, it's literally taking in here. Hopefully you guys can see that. No. Okay. So we take all the emails and we literally just ask ChatGPT, hey, can you summarize the following emails? And then just take the content and we're just dumping it back into the UI. There's really nothing magical going on here. It's super simple. So the next piece that we usually see, and this is kind of where Helicone came about, was when we talked with enterprises and startups, the first thing that people built was some sort of observability layer. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of add Helicone as our observability layer into this application. So I kind of cheated a little bit and I already have like little branches here that have everything built out. But to add Helicone, all you do is you just add this base URL like that. And then you just add this one line of code to provide the Helicone auth. Now, if I go to our Helicone dashboard, which will go right here, and that will sign in just a second, maybe not. Okay. And then I created this org for AI for developers. And now if we go and look at our requests, these are like old requests, but now if I run this same example, and it's over here on this tab. Now, if I run summarize emails, it's gonna run the exact same code, but in Helicone, what we're gonna see is we're gonna see that request come in just a second once our logging catches up. Hopefully. Okay, so now we just saw a request come in, and basically we get like a full summary of what our user is doing. So we have like basically a full chat completion request, and then we have like full dashboards. And the next thing that we see users do is they end up adding more telemetry. So they'll add like environments. They'll want to track their own users. So here I just put in my email, and then their app is still running. So like our summarizer email still is like kicking off in the back end. And Helicone tracks all this stuff. So we track all of your user data. We'll track like the actual requests that are coming through, with like tagging. So if we wanted to see the environment, this will be tagged. And then, so this is sort of the second part, which is the observability. We can get cost tracking, user metrics, look at the completions, and most importantly, like be able to experiment with those completions with the playground, which I'll show in the next part. But once you kind of have this like first layer of, hey, now I have some observability layer, I have some client talking to an LLM provider. Now you're like, you want to start scaling out this application, whether or not it's like in the Hasara demo where you want to call a Postgres database or some vector database. You want to have basically like this external service that you're populating this context with. So in our emailer case, we might have like hundreds of emails or thousands of emails that we can't just copy and paste to ChatGPT. So we'll go ahead and embed all of those emails, and we'll like chunk them, and then we'll like retrieve the most valuable ones to go ahead and put it into our context. I didn't build this out last night, but I'm just going to kind of pretend like that exists and for the demo sake. The next part that we see users want in their LLM applications is this gateway. So they want some level of security or caching or rate limiting or cost limiting. And we've built a lot of these features directly in Helicone, but there's a lot of other tools out there that kind of help you with security. So I'm going to show you how to add that in Helicone really easily. We take advantage of this thing called headers. Or like these like header fields. Let me go like this, sorry. So here you can see like the Helicone, it's like super easy to enable cache. And once I make a request to our email summarizer, the first request is going to take a second while this kind of gets loaded in. And then if I make a second request, it's going to be instant because it is going to hit our cache. So you can see that was like super fast, hit our cache, and now you can like improve the speed of your app and whatnot. Yeah. So I'm going to show you guys one more thing as well that folks tend to do. The next piece that I want to show off is our rate limiter. So if you are using an app, and I'm sure you guys are building apps or you guys are working for a company that is using LLMs and you want to be able to like rate limit on cost, this is one of the biggest things that we see is like a user will go in and be using some LLM app and they are getting like hammered from one like free user and then their cost is just going up a bunch. You can add like rate limit policies directly into Helicone and that also will get rate limited. So this is kind of all ties into the gateway. The first like gateway and observability pieces are mainly what Helicone was built for and like why we built Helicone. The next layer we typically see is prompting, where users want to be able to track the inputs and outputs and generate some data sets with this like prompting layer. It's really helpful, especially in the fine-tuning side of things, like those generating data sets and then creating those JSON-Ls, kicking out a fine-tuning job. And we also provide this in Helicone as well, which is like this prompt management library. So if we go over to, let's go to step 4 here. You can see here, our email app is about to get a major upgrade. Here we have this like crazy prompt. This is a prompting technique called few-shot prompting. I don't know if you guys have heard of few-shot prompting. It's this idea that you can provide some examples and then some outputs. And this is a classic prompt where it's just going to say, hey, I want you to summarize the emails that look something like this. And now we have like this prompt with the inputs, and then we have HPF, which is this like Helicone prompt formatter. And if we go ahead and rerun our summarizer, you'll see now the output looks a lot crisper. Maybe some new lines were added. You can actually see, hey, we have the key points and we have others. So it's kind of formatting it the way that we want to, because now we added this prompting layer. And in Helicone, if you want to view that prompting layer, you can. So you could go over to prompts, and you can hopefully get a better view of what it looks like here. So you can see like, hey, please categorize the following emails into one of the categories, email content, input, and then we get like some output. And this is like the categorizer. I think we have a few prompts that we're getting kicked off here. We have this like summarizer one. Like here are a few examples. Please summarize the following emails, inputs, and then you have your output here. Cool. Nice. So I'm going to keep going through these slides here, and we're doing okay on time. Nice. The next piece that we see, like the next evolution in this AI stack is agents. So once you have this prompting layer, once you have this gateway, you have like a bunch of RAG stuff, we see people start adopting these like agentic workflows. And this is again, you saw this in the last demo for Hasara, where you create some requests and then it calls something, takes that output, puts it in the LLM. Maybe the LLM is deciding what to do with that output and then feeds that output back into the LLM. So it's usually some sort of loop basis, like some orchestration layer. And we built this also in our emailer over here. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. So check out step 5. It looks like there's some changes here. That's fine. Cool. So here now we have a new, some new logic added to our emailer. The main idea here is we want to, sorry, yes. Okay. Give me one quick second here. I think I maybe switched up these roles a little bit. Sorry about that. The demo gods are not with me today. That's okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there before. Okay, I'm gonna hold off on this part of the demo, but I'll show you what it's supposed to do. The main idea is that you want to take this like sort of like agentic workflow of saying, hey, I want to have multiple LLMs being called and at some time and then perform some actions on it. So this is what it looks like, sort of like this emailer example, for example. If we wanted to take each one of those emails and categorize that, so we wanted to use like a lower model to categorize those emails and then bucket them, and then with each of those categories, then kind of like create a summary for either work, personal, or other. You can like, this is basically this whole flow, and this is it like kind of visualized. So in here, right where I'm kind of hovering my mouse, this is categorizing multiple emails and then taking those email outputs and then running a call right here to say, hey, here are all of these emails. I want you to write a summary based on the ones that fall in the other category, the ones that fall in the personal category, and the ones that fall in the work category. And this is basically like a tree view. Hopefully this is making sense. I'm realizing it's like maybe a little bit complicated here. Cool. Yeah, so right now our app is getting pretty complex. Like we've already gone so far where we had our basic like email retriever that would like send an email and then, or no, sorry, it would look at an email that was sent and it would give us a summary on it. And now we've like built out a whole flow where we have like some RAG pipeline, we're doing some prompting. We have like an agent flow that is like pulling in a bunch of data and like kind of categorizing things before it like summarizes it. Now it can even get more complex where you can add like a model load balancer. So in some cases where you have fine-tuned models or you want to decide what model is the correct model to call, there's a new startup that just kind of launched called Not Diamond, if you guys heard about it, but it lets you sort of intelligently determine which model is best to be used for this particular use case. If you want to optimize on cost or quality, these types of things. And then it can even get more convoluted where you have experimentation. And this is where I think tools like OpenPipe or tools like Helicone kind of shine, where you can test your prompts, generate golden data sets, and build these data sets to be used for either fine-tuning or evals and whatnot. And I can show you guys what that looks like in Helicone, but I know we're running a little bit low on time here. So if I have a prompt here, let's say I have this like categorized email prompt where we have some email content and we want to give it a category. So in this case, we have a bunch of inputs where you say, okay, here's some email. What was the output? This one was work. This one was other. This one's also work. If I want to start an experiment to say, hey, if I have this emailer and I want it to like always respond, like if you notice here, this is lowercase here, I can like add an extra instruction to say, always respond with lowercase. And then I can save that, run this, there's that demo there. And then I can go ahead and generate a random data set. And then I can grab a key, which I'm going to grab a key from here, and I'm going to have to cycle these immediately because people are seeing these keys. That's okay. Don't mind that. So we grab this key, we use this provider key, confirm and run this experiment, and it's going to go ahead and basically change the model or change the underlying prompt and use all of those the new prompt with all the previous inputs to run this experiment. So you can see this experiment's running right here. It's going to take a couple minutes for that to continue. So I'm going to go back to the slides and continue through them. Let's go here. All right, so I would say and then the last part of this like stack, which I think Kyle hit it on the nose perfectly, which is like, once you feel those like real pains of, hey, I'm running into a wall of like cost, quality or whatnot, I want to do fine tuning, and fine tuning is great for the last mile, and will provide a bunch of support on these like tailored cases. And I knew OpenPipe was coming, so I kind of did like a little heart thing for him. Cool. If you guys want to learn more about what I talked about in this talk, we have a blog post that kind of goes through the stuff. You guys can scan that. It basically just goes through the whole stack, this whole progression that we went through. It's a different example, but same concepts. Cool. And let's see if this experiment finished running here. Looks like it's still running, but I think we can still view some of the outputs here. All right, so we wanted to respond with lowercase. We added that extra instruction, and it looks like it's doing that here. So you can see here are the previous outputs with the old changes. So we didn't have that instruction, always respond with lowercase, and it looks like it's responding with lowercase in the newer ones. So we can go ahead and mark these requests as successful. And that's kind of how to build an app from scratch using Helicone as well. I think the last few things I want to leave you guys with is try to keep your LLM stack slim, and try to do things that just scale enough. Like, you don't want to build I think a lot of our customers look at all the tools that are out there, and then they end up building this like complex flow. And I think like a lot of the times you don't always need this like crazy stack. You can probably get away, hopefully one day we'll get away with just prompting, but I think we're still like maybe like 5 years out from that. Cool. And last thing is we're doing our product hunt launch tomorrow. So if you guys have a product hunt account, we'd really appreciate upvotes on our product hunt, or like clicking the like get notified thing. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening to me talk at you for 25 minutes. Helicone's free tier is really generous. It's 100,000 requests, and it's mainly built for scale. Like, I think the like as far as compared to other products, like we have served like billions of requests, and a lot of our dashboards and stuff are extremely fast, and we're very developer focused. A lot of the other tools on the market are like geared toward PMs, I would say, whereas we are trying to be developer first, and we're open source. we do have, the way it works right now is you would change the prompt and then it would generate like a data set that you can use for that output, either to fine tune or to basically verify that that new prompt is something that you want to go ahead and push into production. All of your prompts would live in your code. So you don't actually have to change it in the interface. You would just change it directly in your code base. I'm not an expert in fine tuning, so I would probably like consult someone else on this. But what we typically see, kind of like echoing what we heard in the first talk, is data sets are extremely important. So generating that golden data set to understand, hey, this is my use case, and I want to make sure that it aligns with this golden data set is extremely important. So I would say like focus on that data set curation and make sure you're always testing and monitoring it, because typically we can see like fine tuning ends up like overcorrecting, and a lot of our, like a handful of our users end up fine tuning and then end up like not sticking with it. Because like the new model comes out, so like they'll fine tune like a llama like 7B or something like that, and then a new model will come out, and then that new model is like GPT-4o. We saw a lot of people move off of their fine tuning models because GPT-4o came out and it was like pretty good. Yeah. We see this a lot where customers want to take their LLM chat completions and they want to say, hey, all these chat completions exist in some semantic space, right? Like if you think about it, it's like this 3D map of all these different ideas where you have maybe like something that is more like feminine sounding or something that's more masculine sounding, and you can like kind of see these like different vectors. There's always some sort of like vectors where it's leaning between 2 points. So there are a bunch of different tools to do this, where if you like vector them, you can do like clustering. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't exist in Helicone yet, but it's something we are definitely looking at, where we want to be able to take all these completion results and cluster them within ideas, and then say, hey, we found all of these clustered ideas, and then like pull them apart, say, okay, this exists, like this is more chicken and this is more frog, or whatever your 2 points that you're trying to look at. There are a lot of tools out here that kind of look at this. Actually, Neo4j, if you guys went to their desk, they actually had a little demo of this like semantic graph there. And a lot of people are looking at this. There's a lot of open source projects that are looking at doing exactly this. It does affect speed, but like very minor compared to the actual completion of the model. Because like, so for a completion of a model, even using Grok, something like that, we're looking at like hundreds of milliseconds possibly. Whereas the only delay that you have is like the propagation delay to wherever our proxy is distributed, which is on all the edge nodes. So it's like at max, like we only ever measure like 10 millisecond delay, which is nothing typically. So there's a handful of open source tools to do this, where you can like export data from an observability platform, and then you can export data from that observability platform and then load those into any of this like semantic clustering things. Like I think there's like some like tensor project that Google put out, I believe. If you just like Google semantic clustering and then you'll find it. No, it's not. So the question is it necessarily built into Helicone? No, it's not. Oh, no, RAG is not built into Helicone. Yeah.